You're watching Black Eric D. Nice on YouTube.
Eric D. Nice.
You're watching Black Eric D. Nice on YouTube.
Hi guys, Black here. I've made a few videos talking about brakes on tractor trailers. They don't fail. They were bad before the person got to the hill. And that air brakes don't just fail. I mean, under no circumstances do they just stop working. The way they design them so they won't just stop working. Now, some people will say, well, Black, no, you don't know, man. You know, stuff fails. Mechanical stuff fails. Yeah, you're right. Mechanical stuff do fail. But let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of somebody crawling up under a car or a truck, and the truck wasn't on jack stand, it wasn't on a jack, it was just sitting there, and the truck fell on the person? You've never heard that before, have you? But yet it's still mechanical stuff fail. You get my point? Okay. The other day I was riding behind a dump truck trailer. A dump truck trailer is just what I said. It's a trailer that's carrying dirt or whatever, and the whole trailer picks up and it dumps whatever the contents are. Okay. The way the rear suspension was designed, I could see it was one of those trailers where the brake chamber was in plain sight. I mean, I was sitting behind this trailer, and every time the guy touched the brake, you would see the slack adjusters move, except for one axle. Now, it was a two-axle trailer. The front axle, I couldn't really see the brakes actuating, but the rear axle, I worked. The left tire brake was not moving. The brake chamber was not responding. I think it had a hose going to it, but for whatever reason, it was not responding. It did not. And I saw this guy, I was following behind the guy in traffic, and every time he hit the brakes, the brake lights would come on, and the right slack adjuster would move. But the left side was not moving. So my point is this. He had 4 brakes on the back of that trailer, but only 3 of them worked. And I was sitting there, I made a video. I pulled my camera up, made a video, but the video didn't really show up that well. Either that or I forgot and erased it. But the point is, I don't have video. I can't show you. But I was sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, this is one of them drivers that will get on the hill, can't stop, and then say, my brakes failed. And, you know, again, I try to explain this to people, and a lot of people don't know any better, try to talk me out of it. They try to, rationalize it or whatever. Guys, I've been driving trucks for a while. And like I said, 13 years. I've driven, how many different trucks I've driven, I don't know. At least 25. At least 25 trucks. And I've never had brakes who just fail. I've never had a truck with good brakes and all of a sudden the brakes just fail. You know, the other morning I was on my way to work, and I'm right up the street from my company, and I see a tractor trailer making a right turn to go back the way I was coming from. And the trailer had come off the back of the truck. And I said to myself, wow, you know, I've been driving, this is maybe 2 years ago, so I'm like, I've been driving for 11 years or whatever, and I've never had that to happen. I'm like, I got to my job, and I talked to my warehouse supervisor. She's been driving trucks for a long time, longer than I have. And I asked her, what did she think was the cause of people losing trailers? And she explained to me that truck drivers will back up on a trailer, and the trailer is jacked up too high. And they hear it click, but the shank, whatever they call that, the little ball, I mean, it's not a ball, but the little mechanism that hooks down into the 5th wheel, she said that lands on top of the 5th wheel. And when they pull off, it it's actually holding the trailer, but for whatever reason, you hit a bump and it jumps up a little bit and it falls off the fifth wheel and it loses the trailer. And I was like, okay, so she told me that, before you back on the trailer, make sure the trailer is low enough to where when you back under the trailer, the back of the truck squats a little bit, then the trailer is down. But if you back up to a trailer and the trailer does not, you back up to a trailer and the back of your truck does not squat, you're probably not hooked in correctly. Now, there are some cases to that. I have bagged up the trailers before and it clicked, it locked in. The back of my truck did not squat, but I actually was locked in. Sometimes that will happen, but you 100% locked in. I've had that to happen, but I tell you what, ever since I've spoken to her about that, I will get out. And if I see too much space between the trailer and the fifth wheel, I will probably let the landing gear down and make sure there's no space between the fifth wheel and the trailer. Again, I've never had that to happen to me. Out of 13 years, I've never lost a trailer. I tell you what I've done twice. And I have unlocked the fifth wheel and forgot to roll down the landing gear, and I pulled out and the trailer fell on the ground. Once it fell on the ground, but it was empty, and another time it fell on the back wheel, so I didn't pull it all the way up. That time it was loaded, but it wasn't a big deal. I just had to, actually I was able to just bag back on the trailer, because it didn't fall off the frame, it just landed on the frame. But anyway, again, I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want to kill anybody. And I've told this to my company before. My license are more important to me than that truck. But because I'm inside that truck, I have to take care of that truck. In other words, I'm not going to get a ticket trying to save that truck. But that's not a good example. The point I'm making is when I'm inside the truck, to keep me from getting a ticket, most likely I'm going to save the truck. In other words, what I'm saying is I'm not going to save that truck, I have to save my license, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm going to tap the truck to save my license. No, I'm not going to do that. But because I'm in the truck is protected, is what I'm saying. But anyway, that's all I got to talk about. This is Drake. I just want to tell you guys that I was behind a freaking trailer that was missing one brake. And I was going to say, did the driver know that the brake wasn't working? I honestly don't know. Oh, also, what made me remember to make this video was this. I made a comment about a tractor trailer that crashed, and somebody left a comment questioning me about that. And he said that brakes have seals and you never know when the seal would blow and that you'll lose pressure. Guys, the way air brakes are designed, they don't actually have seals. They probably do have seals, but they don't fail. The way they design, they don't just fail. You don't just ride down the road and you blow a seal and you lose brake. They're not designed that way. I haven't had that to happen. I've had air leaks. I've had bladders to leak. When I used to haul propane one time, I was driving down the road and I put on brakes and I'm sitting at a red light and I could hear what sounded like an air leak, even though the engine was running. So I cut the engine off, and as long as my foot was on the brake, I could hear air coming out. When I take my feet off the brake, I didn't hear air coming out. It was a brake chamber. It was a rubber bladder. Now, it wasn't leaking enough where I couldn't stop, but it was leaking enough that it gave off air leak. That's what I'm saying. They do fail, they do leak, but they don't just totally fail. You know, they just don't. The way they design them, they designed to not just completely fail, is what I'm getting at. Correction. There was a trailer that had a bladder that failed, and it was leaking a large amount of air. But it was leaking so much air that the brakes did not fail. The brakes actually came on. What I'm getting at is this. The way air brakes are designed, if you lose air pressure, the parking brakes will come on. What I mean by that is this. When a trailer is parked, there's no truck hooked up to it. The brakes are not controlled by air. The brakes are controlled by springs, okay? So again, when a trailer is parked with no truck hooked up to it, they have springs that are on. The springs are the parking brakes, okay? Springs, you have four, depending on how many axles, just say if it has a 2-axle trailer, it has 4 spring brakes holding that trailer still, okay? It is possible for one of those 4 springs to break. I mean, just pop. It is possible. Has it ever happened? I've never heard of it, but I'm sure it's quite possible. One of those springs to break, but not all 4 of them. Now, what I'm getting at is this. Before you can move that trailer, you have to put air in the system to release those 4 springs before that trailer will roll. Okay, now, you bag up to that trailer, you hook up the red air line, you push the button inside the cab, it sends air to the trailer and it will fill up the air tank and release those 4 brake springs. Now the trailer will roll. Okay, now, on this particular trailer, it had, I'm gonna try to explain this, okay, it had air springs. I mean, you know, for to hold the trailer up, you know, the air ride or whatever, it had air springs, okay? The way the trailer was designed, if you lost air pressure, it had this arm would fall down. Kid you not, the arm would fall down and it would keep the trailer, okay, a trailer that has air springs, you know, air keeps the trailer up in air. When you lose air pressure, like if you blow an airbag or whatever, the trailer will fall down. Well, certain trailers, they say it messes up the airbag if you ride with the airbag uninflated. Okay, so some trailers will have this arm that falls down. So just say if an airbag blow and you lose air pressure, the trailer's gonna fall down. Some trailers have an arm that is also held up by a spring, okay? I'm sorry. The arm is held down by a spring, okay? Air is used to push that arm up in the air so the trailer can ride up and down the road. Now, when the airbag blow, you lose air pressure and the trailer will fall down, right? But before that trailer fall down, that arm will fall down and catch the trailer. It's kind of almost like a kickstand. It's like a kickstand, almost. So the mechanism that kept that arm out of the way, it blew. The airbag blew. The bladder or whatever blew. And there was enough air. It wasn't, let me say it. It was enough air pressure that I could move the trailer, but I couldn't drive it because the brakes were halfway on. I know this is kind of confusing, but that's what happened. But again, if I was pulling away from a dock when I realized it blew. They loaded me up. I went to release the air brakes or the parking brakes. And that's when I could hear air coming out. And when I went to pull off, the truck felt like the brakes wasn't all the way released. Okay, so I got out of the truck, I went back there, and I could hear this massive air loss. And I noticed that like I said, the brakes felt like they were halfway on, okay? You could feel them dragging. Now, just say if I had been driving down the highway and that thing would have failed the same way, I wouldn't have lost air brakes. What would have happened was the parking brake again would have came halfway on. And the truck I would have noticed it because it would have been slowing down. It wouldn't have locked up a wheel, but it would have been slowing down. So again, the way these brakes are designed, they don't blow and you just lose air pressure. They don't, you know. So I just had to tell y'all that. I know it's kind of confusing. I can't really think of a better way to explain it, but if you have any questions, let me know.